Rip Van Winkle. Many years ago, at the foothills of the Catskill Mountains, was a small village. In the village lived a simple, good-natured fellow named Rip Van Winkle. He was a kind neighbor, ready to help anyone. Everyone in the village liked him. The children of the village shouted with joy whenever they saw him because he played with them. He taught them to fly kites and shoot marbles and told them long stories. The only problem with the Rip was that he was very lazy. He did no work on his own farm and just idled away his time. His fences were falling to pieces. His cow was going astray. Weeds grew on his farm. Rip's constant companion was his dog, named Wolf. To avoid work, he would walk away into the forest with his dog. One day, Rip just walked on and reached the highest part of the mountains. It was late in the afternoon when he reached there. Tired after his long climb, he lay down and began daydreaming. It was soon evening and he realized it would be night by the time he reached his village. Suddenly he heard a voice calling out, "Rip Van Winkle! Rip Van Winkle!" He looked around and saw a short old man with a thick hair and grizzled beard walking towards him with a barrel. He made signs to help him carry the barrel. Rip hurried to help the stranger, who caught his hand tightly, a place where there were some pit. Together they reached a place where there were some more odd-looking short men playing ninepins. They were all dressed the same way and all of them had beards of various shapes and colors. Even though they were playing a game, their faces were serious and there was silence. The only sound was the noise of the balls, which echoed in the mountains like thunder. As Rip and his companion reached them, they stopped playing and stared at Rip with a fixed gaze. Rip was really frightened. His companion emptied the contents of the barrel into glasses and made Rip drink it. Rip obeyed as he was trembling with fear. Since he was thirsty, he drank a few more glasses and slowly fell into a deep sleep. On waking up, he found that he was at the place where he had first met the old man. He rubbed his eyes. It was bright, sunny morning. "Surely I have not slept here all night," thought Rip. He looked around for Wolf, but he was nowhere. Rip whistled for him. "Wolf! Wolf!" he then shouted. No dog was to be seen. "Where has this dog gone?" he muttered to himself. He began to descend the mountain to go back to his village. As he neared the village, he met a number of people, but he didn't know any of them. The villagers also stared at him, equally surprised. "Who is this man?" said one. "I have never seen him before," said another. "Look at his long white beard and his wrinkled face." On hearing this, Rip stroked his chin, and to his astonishment, he found his beard has grown a foot long, and it was all white. An old woman walked up to him and looked at his face for a moment. Then she exclaimed, "It is Rip Van Winkle. Welcome home again, old neighbor. Where have you been these 20 long years?" Adapted from The Legend of Rip Van Winkle by Washington Irving. Gulliver's Travels. When a person tells the story of his life in his own words, it is called an autobiography. Gulliver, a sailor, was once caught in the land of giants. This is how he describes his experience. On the 16th of June 1730, we discovered land. Our captain sent a dozen men with the vessels for water, if any could be found. When we came to land, we saw no river or spring nor any inhabitants. I went on to explore. The country was barren and rocky. I turned back to join the crew, only to see them getting into the boat and rowing for life to get to the ship. Before I could reach them, I observed a huge creature walking after them in the sea as fast as he could. The water of the ocean reached only up to his knees. However, the monster was unable to overtake the speeding boat. I turned back quickly and climbed up a steep hill with the fields of barley on either side and the corn rising up to 40 feet. There was a fence to pass from one field to the other. It was impossible for me to climb because every step was 6 feet high. I was trying to find a gap in the hedge when I discovered one of the inhabitants in the next field walking towards the fence. He was of the same size as the creature chasing the boat. I was struck with utmost fear and astonishment and ran to hide myself. He called in a voice much louder than a trumpet. It sounded like thunder. 7 monsters like him came towards the field, ready to reap the corn. They carried a reaping hook which was very big. When one of the reapers approached where I lay hidden, I screamed as loud as I could. The creature stopped reaping, picked me up between his thumb and forefinger, and brought me close to his eyes, 60 feet above the ground. He looked at me with curiosity and blew my hair aside to get a better view of my face. He called his friends and gently placed me on the ground. They all sat on the ground to take a good look at me. I walked slowly backward and forward, pulled off my hat, and made a low bow towards the farmers. I tried to speak to them loudly in several languages. Each time I did so, the farmer who picked me up held his ear very close to me, but in vain. The farmer took me to his house and placed me at some distance on the dining table, which was 30 feet high from the floor. Dinner was brought for the farmer in a dish which was 10 feet in diameter. The farmer's wife crumbled some bread and placed it before me. In the middle of the dinner, I heard a noise behind me. It was the purring of a cat that was 10 times larger than an ox. The farmer's wife was stroking him. Then entered the farmer's 1-year-old son in the arms of a lady. On seeing me, the child grabbed me from the table and put my head into his mouth. I shouted so loudly that the baby dropped me. I would have broken my neck if the mother had not held her apron under me. Later, she put me on her bed and covered me with a clean white handkerchief. I slept dreaming of my home, my wife, and my children. Adapted from Swift's Gulliver's Travels.